The woman who destroyed my life trusted me with her coat. She didn't know I already owned the building. There's a smell that lives in luxury nightclubs after midnight. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps in. Not glamour. Not success.
Rot.
Expensive perfume desperately trying to suffocate sweat. Imported vodka soaking into marble floors that cost more than most people's annual rent. Desperation hiding behind tailored suits and practiced laughter. It's the smell of people who believe money makes them untouchable. People who think the rules are for decoration. That smell clung to Club Halcyon every night after 12. And for 2 years, it clung to me. I stood at coat check behind a brass rail polished enough to reflect my own disappearance. Black uniform. Tailored just enough to look intentional, just loose enough to erase personality. The kind of uniform designed to say staff before it ever says human. The bass from the main room pulsed through the floor, traveled up my legs, settled into my bones. Shoes you wear when you expect to stand for hours while other people sit, drink, and forget your name. 2 years ago, people waited for me to arrive. They checked their watches. They asked hosts when I'd be there. They lowered their voices when I walked into a room. Now they handed me coats without making eye contact. I used to own a club like this. Not halcyon. Better. Smaller. Sharper. A place where people came because they wanted to be there, not because someone told them it was exclusive. I built it from nothing. I negotiated the lease myself. Picked the lighting. Fought with suppliers. Knew every staff member's name. I believed that if you ran something clean, if you treated people fairly, if you said no when it mattered, it would protect you. That belief lasted exactly 1 syllable. Then she walked in. Maribel Crane didn't walk the way other people did. She didn't need to navigate the room. The room moved for her. She drifted forward as if space itself owed her cooperation. A pale fox coat rested on her shoulders, not worn so much as displayed, still holding the sharp cold of the night air outside. The kind of coat you buy to remind people you can afford to ruin them. Her eyes moved methodically. Not curious. Assessing. The way people look when they're searching for weaknesses, not faces. They passed over staff, lingered on guests, and then stopped on me. Recognition flickered. It was subtle. Anyone else would have missed it. A half-second tightening around the eyes. A recalibration. She knew. Not fully. Not consciously. But something in her registered that I wasn't just furniture. Hold this. The coat came off her shoulders and hit my arms before I could respond. Heavy. Overpriced. Smelling faintly of metal, expensive perfume, and entitlement that had never been challenged. I caught it on instinct. Reflex survives pride. Careful, she said, already turning away. You wrinkled it last time. If you damage it, I'll have it deducted from whatever they pay you. She said it the way people say weather observations. Neutral. Assumed. Unquestioned. I tagged the code and slid the ticket onto the rail. Number 421. She didn't look back. She never did. She moved toward VIP, where the manager's smile widened just a little too much and security straightened without appearing to. Her husband owned half the city's data infrastructure. That fact floated around the club like a protective field. It explained why doors opened, why rules bent, why staff flinched before she spoke. In this ecosystem, she was a predator. I was background noise. 2 years earlier, I had refused her entry at my own club. Not loudly, not publicly. No scene. Just a quiet no at the door. She wasn't on the list. She didn't meet the standard that night. It wasn't personal. It wasn't cruel. It was policy. That single syllable dismantled my life. She never screamed about it. Never threatened me. Never raised her voice.
Faint.
People like Maribel don't do that. They don't need to. They outsource damage. They make phone calls framed as concern. They ask questions that sound harmless but land like knives. They let other people do the dirty work and call it coincidence. Every week after that, she returned. Same entrance. Same coat. Same performance. She snapped at servers just loudly enough to make sure I heard. She ordered drinks only to send them back, critiquing them with surgical precision. She laughed when she caught my eye, not because something was funny, but because laughter is a reminder of dominance. She needed me to see that she had won. She needed the repetition. Management thought I was grateful, broken, lucky to still have a job. They mistook silence for surrender. They were wrong. I wasn't surviving. I was studying. I watched how she moved through the room, how people anticipated her needs before she voiced them. I watched which managers flinched and which pretended not to. I listened to what staff said when they thought no one important was nearby. I paid attention to names, vendors, delivery schedules, who complained about invoices and who never checked them. Sometimes my hands rested on her coat longer than necessary. The fur was soft, immaculate. It would have been easy to ruin it. A snag, a spill, an accident no one could trace. The thought crossed my mind more than once. But coats are replaceable. People are not. I hung it carefully, smoothed the fur until it lay perfectly again. Enjoy it, I whispered under my breath. This is the last time. At 2:14 a.m., overseas markets opened. Currency shifted. Algorithms recalibrated. Capital moved without sound. And something invisible began to turn. People like to believe businesses fail because of bad planning or bad luck. That story comforts them. It suggests fairness. It implies that if you do everything right, you'll be safe. It's a lie we tell ourselves because the truth is harder to swallow. Mine failed because I embarrassed the wrong woman. The damage didn't arrive loudly. There was no confrontation, no warning. It came quietly, disguised as professionalism. A phone call that didn't get returned. An email that came back with polite language and no explanation. A charity board quietly canceling an event they'd already confirmed. Then her husband's company pulled its corporate tab. $50,000 a year vanished overnight. When I asked why, I was told they were realigning with family values. Then came the inspection. Not routine. Not random. Surgical. The inspector stayed 12 minutes. He checked boxes no one ever checked. Measured distances no one measured. Found nothing that mattered. Still, he placed a closure notice on the door pending investigation. That sticker might as well have been a death certificate. Investors panicked. Within 24 hours, calls stopped coming in. One of them was honest enough to tell me the truth. "You're radioactive," he said quietly. "The cranes are telling people you're under federal review." That was it. I lost the lease. Then the house. Then the version of myself that believed dignity was armor. I packed my office into a single box. It didn't even fill it. A week after the foreclosure, I saw Maribel again. Different venue. Different night. Same smile. Small. Precise. The smile of someone admiring finished work. That smile killed something in me that never grew back. I stopped believing in karma. I stopped believing that time fixed things. I changed everything. Hair color. Clothes. The way I stood. The way I spoke. I shortened my name on applications. Cut anything that suggested authority. I applied to Club Halcyon with a resume designed to look forgettable. The manager barely skimmed it. He hired me because I was available nights, weekends, holidays, and didn't ask questions. For 2 years, I vanished. I listened more than I spoke. I learned who owned the building and who only thought they did. I learned which debts were leveraged and which were ignored. I watched money flows the way other people watch sports. I read balance sheets in the break room while Maribel read gossip at the bar. I noted which suppliers were late and which were untouchable. I memorized contract clauses no one ever enforced because they assumed no one would dare. I saved every tip. I rebuilt relationships quietly. Investors who hated her husband more than they trusted the market. Vendors who remembered being squeezed. People who smiled politely at Maribel and resented her deeply. I didn't plan revenge emotionally. I planned it legally, methodically. The first move wasn't dramatic. I bought the debt, not the club. The obligation strangling it quietly behind the scenes. The thing that turned ownership into illusion. Then I acquired the liquor distributor. In this state, alcohol laws are ancient. Control the distributor, and you control the night.
No vodka. No champagne.
No parties pretending to be celebrations. On Friday, the credit hold went through. By Saturday, deliveries were delayed. Orders were downgraded. Managers blamed systems. Bartenders blamed vendors. Maribel blamed staff. Her husband arrived angry. The valet system flagged his car. His preferred booth was taped off for structural concerns. His champagne order was replaced with something cheaper. Nothing illegal. Everything humiliating. Power doesn't shout. It inconveniences. By Sunday afternoon, the paperwork cleared. I owned the building. I owned the license. They were tenants in default. They just didn't know it yet. That night, Maribel threw her coat at my face. The clasp caught my cheek. Blood surfaced warm and immediate. Pick it up, she ordered. I didn't move.
No.
The word landed like a dropped glass. Sharp. Final. Security didn't move. The room went silent. Phones came out. The silence turned electric. I stepped out from behind the counter and told them who I was. Told them what I owned. Told them why their night was over. Her husband tried to negotiate. He always did. I refused. Maribel was told to pick up her own coat.
She did.
Dust clung to it. So did reality. Security escorted them out through the front door. The crowd cheered. The music came back louder than before. I didn't celebrate. I went upstairs and sat alone in the booth she loved. Ownership is quiet. The club kept running. The staff smiled differently. And for the first time in 2 years, the air smelled clean. Power doesn't apologize. It replaces you.